words in pronouncing English words. Vietnamese is a syllable-timed language with tonal pitch differences. In Vietnamese, each syllable has the same length when being pronounced. For example, we have the sentence tôi đi học. You can see that the word tôi đi học have the same length, whereas in English, it's a stretched-timed language with rhythmic pattern. So in English, the stretched syllables come at regular intervals. For example, I have the sentence, I go to school. You can see that the word to is not pronounced as clearly and as long as three other words. So the second mistake is on the tonic syllable identification. In other words, the student usually puts stress on the wrong syllable of the word. In English, there are two types of syllables, the strong and the weak syllable. This pattern appears in every word and sentence. So let's take a look at example here. We have the word situation. So situation. The pattern is strong, weak, strong, weak. This pattern also appears in the sentence. This situation is very tough. So if the Vietnamese students cannot recognize the characteristic of strong and weak syllable to form the rhythm with the pitch contour, they cannot stress on the right tonic syllable. Our last mistake that Vietnamese students share when pronounce English lies in intonation pattern. To be more specific, Vietnamese learner cannot vocalize straight by tone in English words due to syllabic tone. They can hardly recognize a stress in an English word, and they don't know way to raise their tone in a word and a sentence. For example, the Vietnamese speakers usually mispronounce the word comment by raising their voice at the second syllable, meant. When being pronounced like that, the word comment can be understood as command by English native speaker. So as you can see, the reason for this mispronunciation is because the pronunciation teaching focuses more on segmental, individual speech sound rather than the intonation. So as a result, language learners fail to realize or they cannot apply intonation for different functions of sentences. These three common mistakes will make English learners speak in monotone, or they cannot say the words with correct functions as they are distinguished by word stress, or even words that will lead to unnatural speech or miscommunication. So how can we deal with this situation? We would like to suggest some solutions. The first solution is that teachers should spend more time training students on how to count the number of syllables in a word, identify strong and weak syllable so they are able to follow the English rhythmic pattern when pronouncing the English multi-syllable words. Another solution is that the teacher also need to introduce intonation patterns for different communicative purposes in accordance with grammar, or they can integrate the intonation pattern learning in their skills or language projects. So that's are three common mistakes. I think we can watch the video to have a clearer look at the common mistake now.
Can I get my nails done? Okay, honey, do you like pedicure too? No, just my nails. Honey, why you don't lie? Pedicure, it may look nice, it's so sexy. It's better for you. Oh, all right, sure, then I'll get a pedicure too, thanks. Okay, honey, sit down, I'm gonna stick my links, you do for you. Good job, only $20 a month, that's okay, sit down. So my Ling starts doing my nails right away. You have boyfriend? No, I don't have a boyfriend. Honey, why you don't have? You look so pretty, like model, cheerleader, something pretty. You like long or short nail? Short nails, please, thanks. Oh, honey, that's why you don't have boyfriend. I do for you, long better. All right, fine, I'll have long nails, thanks. It's okay, honey, only $4 more, that's okay. Do you like crystal gel? What? Do you like crystal gel? I'm sorry, what? Honey, do you like crystal gel for your nail? It's the best thing you can have for your nail. Make look nice. It sparkle like diamond in the sky. Do you like crystal gel? Oh, no, I don't want crystal that. Thanks. Honey, you say to me you do not have boyfriend. I don't want to help you. Oh, okay, fine. I'll have some. Thank you. It's okay, and it's better for you. Only $6 more. Open it. Go wash your hand. All right. Thanks, Tammy. Oh, wait. Hold on. This one here is a little bit crooked. See that? No, honey, that your finger do like that. That's funny, because my finger didn't do like that before I came in here. It's okay, honey. Don't worry. I fix it for you. Don't worry. Chúc mừng năm mai bồng nem xe lắm tiền kia lo mong chúc mừng năm mới hiểu sinh lắm thì được cho năm mới sinh đời lắm mong sống đó thì năm mới chúc mừng năm mới sống đời lắm cầm tia trong năm mới sống đời lắm cầm chỉ đời. Oh, she said you look so pretty.
Yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed the video. So as you can see in the video, some common mistakes were made, right? For example, the nail maker say she didn't know where to put the stress on the correct tonic syllable, or where to raise her voice in a sentence to make intonation pattern. Like, honey, what did she say? Honey, why you don't lie? For example, like that. So far, we have mentioned 4 parts related to the topic English intonation. First, we have discussed the definition and the importance of intonation to get an overview. After that, we introduced different approaches to English intonation. Next, we make clear, we compare different types of intonations, and we have also pointed out some mistakes in intonation that Vietnamese people usually make. So now, in order to have you review all of these 4 parts, we would like to invite our class to join in a mini game. And there will be 12 multiple choice questions. We will show it on the screen. I would like you to help me to type your answer in the chat box. Okay, so let's wait for the very first question. Okay, so while we are waiting to fix the screen, can you choose the answer for the first question? So please listen. The first one, question number 1. Intonation can be defined as A. The rise and the fall of speech. B. The rhythm of speech. C. The melody and the tone of the speech. And D. All of the above. Could you show the preview? Yeah, you can click on, yeah. Thank you, everyone. I can see most of our members are sending the answer D. Yes, thank you, everyone. So our correct answer is D. It's wrong. So let's take a look at this question. Can you give the answer quickly? What tone is the most appropriate in the following sentence? You didn't do housework? What tone is that? Yeah, some of you say glide up. Glide up is the correct answer. The next question, what are 4 functions of intonation? I think we have to read carefully for this question. I'm having answer number 2. So yes, the correct answer is number 2. We don't have intonation function. The next question, the tonic syllable is a tone group. Be careful for this question. We have to choose 2 answers. A and C, 1 and 3. Yeah. Yeah, we have 2 correct answers here. Intonation can be defined as, this one we did already, right? The answer is D. Yeah, all of the above. Of the following patterns of intonation is used in W question set with eagerness to obtain information. Take off, glide down, glide up, or none of the above. A, B, C, or D. Some of you says B, some of you says C. What did you think? Yeah, the correct answer should be C. An utterance expresses happiness or sadness due to the use of intonation. Is it true or false? T, true. T, yeah. So the correct answer is true, yes? Changing a statement into the question always need a change in its grammatical structure. Is it false or true? F. Yeah, F. Most of you say false. That's the correct answer. Question number 9. Which of the following statements are not true about basic types of English intonation? Yeah, we have. Very fast, we have the correct answer. Three more questions. Question number 10. Basic types of intonation in English are the glide up, the glide down, the take off, and the last one. Can you type the word? Oh, very fast. Thank you, everyone. The correct answer is dive. Yes. Question 11. Intonation in English has 4 major functions. Is it true or false? I hope that you can still remember. T, Yeah, the correct answer is true. Our very last question. The characteristic intonation for the initial vocative in English is the dive, the takeoff, the glide up, or the glide down. Okay, I got the first answer. Okay. Yeah, dive should be the correct answer in this question. And that's all about 12 questions. Thank you, everyone. We are correcting the question that we got wrong here. So can we correct this? Yeah, so for this question, the answer would be glide up. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in our game. And that's also the end of our presentation. Should you have any questions, please do not hesitate to unmute and ask them questions.
Okay, thank you for your nice performance. Interesting and nice performance, okay? Except for some minor unavoidable mistakes, the presentation can be judged as excellent. Thank you for your efforts. Okay? But the thing is a bit over time. Okay? You were running a bit over time. 45 minutes for the presentation, a bit long. Okay, thank you for your great efforts. Mark 9.4. 9.4 for the whole group, for all members of the group. Thank you. Now the second one, please. Another group.
Group 2.
Group 2.
Okay. Group 1. Sorry.
So we've done group 6 and now group 1. Okay.
Thầy ơi, cho em làm host với để em share màn hình ạ. Em là 2104 năm 2001.
Who is the host?
Bạn Tuyết hay sao ấy? Em.
Host please.
Hảo ơi, thầy hỏi em đấy. Em giơ tay đi.
Vâng ạ, nhưng mà em giờ không phải là host ạ. Tức là bạn nào đang là host thì mới chuyển sang được cho em ấy.
Chị thấy được rồi đấy.
Đang là host.
Em vừa thấy xong.
Come on, welcome.
Okay, so teacher, can you hear me well?
Yeah, very well. I can hear clearly. And
Yes, so I'm going to start now. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Thu Huyền and I'm from Group 1. Today our group with 16 members is going to deliver a presentation about stress. Okay. Our presentation includes 3 main parts you can see on the screen. I am in charge of part 1, which have used to revise the types of stress. Ms. Zhang is responsible for part 2, which is attitudes conveyable via sentence stressing in question. And for the last part, Ms. An will illustrate common mistake by Vietnamese learners. Okay, so part 1, please move on the next slide. Okay, so first of all, we need to know that stress is an emphasis, an extra force given to a certain syllable, and we call that word stress. And if the emphasis is given to a certain word in a sentence, we call sentence stress. Word stress is usually fixed. For example, you can look at the word family, okay? You can see a high vertical line before the straight element, which is the first syllable. And as you can see, we have only one stress mark in this word, and this is fixed. So for word straight, the stress is fixed. However, with sentence stress, the stress is flexible and is depending on speaker's feeling and the message the speaker wants to convey. Actually, we will dig deep into this part later. We will have some like principal rules for sentence stress. About word stress patterns, so there are 3 types corresponding to the number of syllables in a word. For disyllabic words, if it's a noun, the stress is put on the first syllable, but if it's a verb, the stress is put on the second syllable. So you can see some illustrations on the slide. We'll give you some words. For example, you can look at the words import. If it's a noun, we say import. But if a verb, we say import. And we also give you some like other examples, other words such as subjects, conflict, okay? Next one, we have another type of word stress, which is trisyllabic words. So most of them has the stress put on the first syllable. Yeah, therapy, the first syllable, usually the first syllable, or capital, the first syllable. Next one is polysyllabic words. The stress of most polysyllabic words will fall on the first syllable counted backwards, or precedes such endings as in, ik, equal, or ology, and so on. You can see some example here. For example, the first word monopoly, the ending is only, no, or manufacture, or considerable. The stress fall on the third syllable counted backwards. Another words like tuition, we have the ending is in, so the stress falls on the syllable precedes such ending. And we have 2 exceptions. Yes, we have 2 exceptions. Politics and rhetoric. Their endings of the words is ik, but the stress falls on the first syllable, politic and rhetoric. The last point about stress type is sentence stress. As I said earlier, sentence stress is not fixed. However, there are 3 principles for you to follow. The first one is that if you consider one word the most important in the sentence, compared to other words in that sentence, so you will put stress on that word. Next one, you put stress. When you put stress on a word in a sentence, you should remember that the stress will fall on the primary stress of that word. The intonation contours of the sentence vary in accordance with different position of the focal word where the tonic syllable resides. So, for example, you can look at the sentence on the slide. She bought a new motorcycle. If you consider the word motorcycles the most important word in that sentence, so you put stress on it, it means that the stress can also move onto other words like she or bought or new, and it results in significant change in meaning. Okay, so we will look further into this example. So if the speaker say that she bought a new motorcycle, so what his or her means here is she is the one who bought a new motorcycle, it's not someone else. Or if the speaker say she bought a new motorcycle, so she bought it, not borrow it or lended it. And she bought a new motorcycle. It means that the motorcycle which she bought is not old or used. She bought a new one. And the last one, she bought a new motorcycle. So the thing she bought here is a motorcycle. It's not bicycle or car or scooter or other things. And the next part, I would like to invite Ms. Chang to present. Ms. Chang, please.
Okay, let's move on to part 2, the attitude conveyable via sentence strat in the questions. As you know, have the two common kinds of questions, they are yes, no question and WX questions. And normally when we teach the student, we usually say that the yes, no question tend to end in the rising pitch, and for the WX question, it tends to end with the falling pitch. But for the yes, no question sentence that is normally on the content words, with just no questions, the content words are at the end of the sentence. With the strat placement strat at the end, the attitude is a neutral conveyable attitude. With the strat at the end, but with the rising intonation, it's a negative emotions like anger. And with the strat not at the end, but on other function words, its expectations of an answer of yes or no questions for more information than yes. With WH questions, the sentence strategy on the questions word who, which, when, it can have the attitude surprise, shocked, or disbelief. And with the sentence strategy on the word at the end of the sentence, it designed for the repetitions or classifications. Let's go to the changing and emphasizing meaning. We can select appropriate word to carry the strat with a sentence and vary the strategy emphasis and indicate the different attitude. As you know, the strat sentence is not fixed and it depends on the speaker feeling and attitude and the message that he or she wants to get across to the listener. You can see the example here. For the one sentence, we can put the strat on the other word. For example, what are you doing here? So it will emphasis on you, not the others. Or what are you doing here? It will emphasis on the accent. And what are you doing here? It will emphasis on the place. Okay, now let's move on to part 3.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Dai Chang, for the detailed information on the attitude conveyed while sentence stretching in question. Now, I will provide you some of the common mistakes Vietnamese learners have when using English in their daily life. So we will start with a video, and this video has shown some of the mistakes Vietnamese have during an English conversation. And I believe that everyone will recognize this video right away, because this is one of the videos our teacher had used as one of the assignments. So please enjoy.
Yeah, my name Long Fo Mohammed. How are you? Yeah, somebody give me your number. He tell for me you do the build the hell for me. Can you do the build for the hell for me? You know, build the hell. You know how?
Yeah, okay, my number.
Yeah, you blow the name 4S, 4Z or something like that. You know.
Sorry?
Yeah, you blow he do the job for me, the lending, you know, for the hell. And I want to build a tent, but you know, he tell for me, you can build tent for me.
What else you have?
Yeah, in the Cabramatta, Sydney.
Huh?
You know, Sydney, in the Cabramatta, I want to build a tent or something.
Which area?
The Cabramatta.
Where?
Yeah, I fly to Melbourne next week, and I want to meet with you to do the plan for me for the hell. Can you do for me, play Mohammed? One sec, my wife Solene. Solene, sao bao? Hey, đây bà lấy đâu? Lấy bà Mohammed, đây là good builder. Yeah, okay, no worry. Yeah, hello, Mohammed.
Sorry?
Yeah, can you build for me the house or not? I want to build my house here in Melbourne. You have somebody speak English there?
Yeah, I speak English, but I don't know what you said.
Yeah, but the fucking your English no good.
Huh?
Your English shit out no good like my wife Solene. I want to build a house, Mohammed. Can you help me, please?
But who gave my number?
Yeah, you blow the fix or something like that, you know. Mình con đâu sao vậy đã bảo. Solene, they don't speak English. Yeah, hello, Mohammed. Like, there you have somebody translate for me, please.
Huh?
Fucking hell, I don't know. I have too much confusion. You know, đâu mà.
Okay, so I hope you have a great time watching this video. So as you can see, Vietnamese people do not just make mistake in the pronouncing, but also in stress. Now to help you have a clearer vision of some of the common errors. So first, let's moving on to the first mistake. Stress on wrong syllable of polysyllabic word, and which will, as a result, it will make the wrong pronunciation, and it has a huge effect on the intelligibility. I have some example here, like the Castoral Journal, Christine Lewis, David Tennering, University, Bruno Darussalam. So the word stress and pronunciation in teaching English as the lingual franchise contest. The second mistake, so to make a clearer vision on this mistake, I have an example, and this example is the scientist made an experience. The male participant from Vietnamese produced a balloon in initial shred, including a full vowel in the first syllable, and the female participant from Indonesia failed to understand him and had to ask for his clarification. So the Vietnamese speaker managed to correct his grammar by adding an S on the end of balloon, but he was unable to fix his pronunciation of the word. So as you can see on the slide, the MVN is the male Vietnam, and the FINL is the female Indonesian. So they made a wrong, misunderstood on each other. So understanding an orchestra can occur because of the unexpected vowel stress placement, and consequently, it is premature to include in some English teaching in EFL settings. Now, let's moving on to another mistake Vietnamese made is every syllable is spoken with the same prominence, stretching on every syllable or no stretch at all. The first point is that stretching on every syllable, as a result, is make the English sentence are broken down into separate sound. For example, like in Vietnamese, we will say tôi là một học sinh, but in English, if we say I am a student, it has a huge effect on the understanding of the sentence. And if we don't make any stress at all on the pronouncing and stretching in the sentence, it absent of the information and make the utterance sound flat. Now let's moving on to last mistake, but also very important, is failure to lengthen the stretched syllable. So Vietnamese speaker, especially the beginner, tend to fail to recognize the difference between stretched and unstretched syllable in terms of duration. So duration, which is also called length, is an important factor of English stretch. It suggests that if a syllable is lengthened intensively, it's likely to be held as stretched, and this point has been included in Roche 1983. The second point is that each Vietnamese word only contain one syllable, and they are ordered at the same length in normal situation. And as duration cannot be considered as an active clue in Vietnamese tonal distinction, Vietnamese beginner learner fail to encode this clue in English. And this point also mentioned in Vietnamese equation of English word strength, was presented by Nguyen in 2005. Some of the main cause to some of this problem, which is, first, when pronouncing word in a sentence, some Vietnamese learners have a tendency to focus so much on the word strength that they emphasize every word in sentence, while some completely ignore strength. The second point is that Vietnamese is mostly monosyllabic language, while English is polysyllabic. And to help you a clearer vision on this one, we provide you a table comparison of English and Vietnamese rhythmic pattern. So for English, type of language, straight time language, which is rhythm pattern based on the regular repetition of straight syllable. But for Vietnamese, it's syllable time language, which the syllable having the equal intensity. So meaning of the abbreviation is like F like food, but S is like very strong and W is weak. And we have the pattern of F is conclude with strong and weak. But for Vietnamese, we have the N is nhịp, A is âm tiết, and we, for the how we pattern this is N similar to A. So this sort is based on the Vietnam phonetic experimental research into equation of English strength, which presented by Ms. Thanh Diệu in University of Social Science and Humanity, Vietnam. So that is all about our presentation. So I hope that you have understand fully on all types of stretch, the attitude convey voice sentence stretching in question, and some of the mistakes Vietnamese people made in order to help your student to improve their stretch in speaking English. So thank you so much for your listening. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate to open your speaker or send your question to our group through the box chat. We would love to answer any of your question. So if you have any question, please be free to ask.
Thank you for the nice performance.
Yes, thank you so
Excellent.
much.
The whole class, please. Do you have any questions for the speaker? For the presenters of the group? Any questions? Excellent report. Excellent presentation. Except for some very minor mistakes regarding wording. Okay, no questions. So mark 9.4 for the whole group. Very well done. Thank you. Now, please, the next group, please. Next is welcome now.
Teacher, can you make me as a host?
You are the host now. Nông Thị Hồng Ngân.
Nông Thị Hồng Ngọc, yes.
Ngọc, okay.
Teacher, I still haven't received the host.
Will you please?
Yeah.
You are the host now. Come on.
Actually, not yet, teacher.
Why so?
You are still the host. Thầy ơi, thầy vẫn là host, em chưa có quyền để chia sẻ màn hình à?
Tôi đang tìm cái vào chuyển host.
Là cái phần mà có cái khiên ấy, xong rồi thầy cho chia sẻ màn hình là được, không cần phải chuyển host ạ.
Vào phần nào?
Trong cái phần điều khiển nó có một cái chỗ gọi là nó như là cái chỗ nó hình gì nhỉ, hình cái khiên thì phải, xong thầy ấn vào đấy
Participant team.
Bên cạnh mấy cái participant các thứ ạ, thì nó có cái phần này, ấn vào đó là nó có chữ
security á.
Security.
Vâng.
Bấm vào cái gì đây?
Ấn vào share screen, ấn tích vào đấy là được ạ.
Xong rồi.
Vâng, đấy thế là các bạn có thể share được ạ.
Okay, is it okay now?
Yes, teacher. Thank you for your support.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Our group for today will present about types of phonological analysis, and our groups have 16 members. Here is the name of our members. Next slide, please. Okay, and our presentation, we have three main parts. The first one, phonological structure and the need for richer representation. And last part, the most important, is the approaches to phonological structure. And now let's move to the first part. Phonological structure. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. Phonology deals with sound structure in individual languages, like the way distinction in sound are used to differentiate linguistic items, and the ways in which the sound structure of the same elements vary as a function of the other sounds in its context. And it has two main parts. Phonological rules and phonological representation. With phonological rules, it is they are formalized general statements about the distribution of non-constitutive property of segments. These rules provide the phonetic information necessary for the pronunciation utterance, while phonological representation is the mental representation of sounds and combinations of sounds that comprise words in a particular spoken language. Phonological representation can be described at a context level, linguistic level, or cognitive levels. And let's move to phonological structures. It presents comprehension and the researcher's knowledge of speech sounds as a symbology. Phonological structures present comprehension. Next slide, please. Thank you. Phonological words had a complex hierarchical structure of various phonological constituents like features, segments, syllables, and fits. And there are three ways to approach related to phonological structures, namely segmental, autosegmental, and autosegmental and supersegmentals, which are the important part that we will mention later. And the need for richer phonological representation, while the linear formulation tells us little about the nature of process it is describing, like in the first rule that we learned. Can you keep next, please? No.
Can you see the rule one? I have skipped to it, but maybe it will be a little bit laggy.
Just keep, can you show all the slide one?
Okay.
Next. Still have more, yeah. And as you can see, the letter N spaced at when preceding a vowel, like in the first phrase in Edinburgh, and also pronounced at N, when it's preceding a coronal consonant like D in the B, and however, when it's precede labial consonant B, it will pronounce at M, and when it precedes the letter C, when it precedes a velar consonant like in craft diff, it will pronounce as Ng. And this rule does indeed characterize the process. However, it doesn't actually tell us much about what's going on. All it says is that two apparent random features in a consonant must have the same specification in preceding nasal. So that's the reason why we have rule number 2. And this kind of process, so here is very common in many languages. Here's the articulations, assimilation, the formulation in this rule does not lack any indication that the features specified with variable are in some way related. And the first rule could be generally reformatted like this. Next slide, please. As the first rule cannot do insight fully, since there no relation is expressible between features if all the features are simply part of an unordered, unstructured matrix, the involvement of two features in some process might be well accidental. Nothing about the organization of the matrix suggests that arterial and coronal should be in any way related, any more than other two features like voice and back. And in the rule 2, the feature anterior and coronal would no longer be a random combination anymore. since both would belong to the same subset of features, the anterior and crook belong to the same set, whereas voice and back belong to separate subgroupings. Yes, and the first rule could be generally formulated like this, please. Thank you. And now, well, actually, an area in which we might recognize richer phonological structures has to do with elements which are larger than just individual segments. So we have rule number 3, the third rule. This rule will mention with the sound of the letter L. In most variety of English had two L sound, the clear L and the velar L. But indeed, it can be more accurate express about the distribution of these two sounds in the following way, like the dark L is found in preceding consonant. Next slide, please. And the word finally, while the clear L is found elsewhere, and that's the reason why we have the formulation like this. However, the third rule is still not very insightful. Like we have a better way to approach the problem in terms of syllables. And at the beginning of the syllable, like we say, it is in the onset, the letter L surface as non-velarized, while at the end of syllable, or when the L is self-syllable, the letter surface as the dark, or we say velarized L. And we have the form like this. And as you know, along with the explosion of information in the field of research, modern phonology has made a great improvement in understanding the relationship between the phonetic forms that appear on the surface of discourse, or some form that appear on the underlying forms of language. And these insights cause many changes in the approach to some phonological problems, especially those related to phonological structures. That's the reason why the number of researchers and the journals in this field in the phonological representation are increasing every day. And now we will move to the next part with Hồng Nhung.
In this part, sorry, I'm not Hồng Nhung, I'm Quỳnh Nga, and I'm the first presenter in this part. And the part number 3 is approaches to phonological structure. Can you go to the next slide? And I will talk about the first approach, which is segmental. And there are 3 public points in my presentation. The first one is conceptualization. No, not that one. And representation. The second one is stretch, and the last one is weakness. Now we talk about the conceptualization and representation. In the first approach, segmental, we will look at the term segment internal structure, which covers feature geometry and under specification. About the feature geometry, which involves organizing and feature in terms of a tree structure. You can see in the picture here, it is a tree of segment T. The root is holding position, which is on the top, and the nodes are associated to this root, giving the specification for the segment. There are two types of notes, class notes and terminal notes. You can see here we have supplementary geo is and manner are the class notes. And can you move to the next one? Internal and lateral in the terminal notes. So while the terminal notes are the familiar binary features, the class note have one value and they are either present in the tree or not. Next, we'll talk about the under specification. Actually, not all features seem relevant to the representation or a particular segment. So only feature closer relevant to the characterization of the segment are shown in the tree. The tree like this, we prefer to being unspecified. And the features that play no distinguished part in the identification of a segment are not present at the underlying level. And these redundant features are filled in later by default rules, which assign value to those features are not unspecified in the inline tree. And for example, next slide, please. And here, for example, you back to the picture before a tree for segment T, we have the cell T. The T is a coronal cell, so there's no specified notes like a labial or dorsal. They may be filled in later by the default rules. And next, I will talk about the strength of this approach. The segmental phonology proposed explicit procedures, rules, and strict phonological algorithm that provide a mechanistic link to language user mind and psychological world. And in the segment internal representation are left in unstructured. Any recurring co-occurrences appear arbitrary and coincidental. And you know, everything have two sides. So this weakness, so its weakness is fails. Can you move to the weakness part? The weakness fails to capture certain important aspects of the phonology of human language, and therefore there is a need for a syllabus structure which is broader than segmental structure to be represented when a phoneme structure are examined. So we move to the next part with the next presentation, please.
Hello everyone, thank you Quỳnh Nga for your presentation. So now I will move on to the next part, outer segmental. To help you keep track on this very abstract terms, I will divide my presentation into 4 parts: conceptualization, representation, strength, and weaknesses. Okay, next slide, please. As we know, the linear approach fails to capture important aspects of phonological structures because it assumes that segments are distinct from each other, and there's only one correspondence between segments and features. So as a result, autosegmental phonology was born to provide a more complete analysis and representation about the operation of phonemic system and the phoneme relationships. Next slide, please. Now you can see the diagram representing the word lab. So let's see the word lab in the sequence of C and V. We have the structure CVC is linked with L, E, and P. So autosegmental structure is represented via association lines. You can see the arrows here is point at the association lines, which are employed for making clear the correspondence between features and segments. Okay, Thank you. So the relevance, you can see the relevance of any independent feature linked to a timing slot. It is set to occupy its own segmental tire. You can see here the relevant feature will be shown as linked directly to the C, the consonant, stand for consonant, and V positions by association line. And we can see that the features here occupying a tire may be associated with more than one timing slot. Okay, next slide, please. Minh Ngọc, Hồng Ngọc. Yeah, this arouse point at the voiced C and V here. For example, both the L and R are voiced, so the feature voice will be associated with most segments. And okay, so this type of multiple association will also allow us to represent the long segments. For example, long vowels like E and the diphthongs I in the word be and fly. You can see auto-segmental representations of the word be and fly in the diagrams here. And let's move on to the next slide. Yeah, one feature may be associated with more than one slot. So many one feature may be associated with a single slot. Let's take the presentation of the word large as the example here. Okay, you can turn back. You can turn back the slide, the diagram. Yeah, you can see the diagram of the word large here. Okay, next one. Yeah, while auto-segmental representation, they open the questions precisely which features can occupy an independent tire. They do make available some interesting possibilities which are unable in terms of linear structures. So this approach can show up the process of the assimilation. In English, you can see many varieties tend to nasalize vowels preceding nasal stops. For example, a word like bean in this diagram tends to have a nasalized vowel under the influence of the following nasal stop. And in auto-segmental tones, we can show this as the rule of spreading as shown in the diagram below. Yeah, next slide, please. So in this diagram, you can see the vowel E in English in the word bean is underlyingly oval and is associated with nasal. And until the nasality of the following nasal stop spreading to it and causes the association with nasal to the link. Yeah. Next slide, please. Okay, so I want to show you three main characteristics of auto-segmental representation. The first one, the first characteristic is that auto-segmental structure representation consists of more than one linear sequence of segments, and each linear sequence constitutes a separate tire. The second one is that the co-registration of elements or auto-segments on one tire with those on another is represented by association lines. And the last characteristic is that there is a close relationship between analysis of segments into distinctive features and an auto-segmental analysis. Each feature in a language appears on exactly one tire. Okay, so everything has both sides. Auto-segmental structures is two. I want to show you the strengths of this approach. The firstly, auto-segmental phonology extend the concept of the syllables and feature subgrouping, looking at the correspondence between features and segments. So the second thing, This makes available some interesting possibilities, which are unavailable in terms of linear features matches. And the last one is enables to gain a clearer insight onto phonological relationships and represent this relation in a way that appears to reflect more appropriately the sound system of language. However, it also exists some weaknesses. Auto-segmental representations cannot answer precisely which features can occupy an independent tire, and it causes some conventions. Among them is the no-crossing constraint, which prohibits crossing association lines between features on the tire. And now another Ngọc Mai in our group will present the next part about suprasegmental.
Thank you, Ms. Ngọc Mai, for your introduction. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Whitney Ngọc Mai, and today I am going to talk about the suprasegmental structure. Okay, like the opposed, I also talk about the conceptualization, representation, and strength, and some weakness. Okay, so first, the term that suprasegmental refers to the aspect of sounds, such as intonation, that did not seem to be properties of individual segment, and the common features of the conceptualization are pitch, loudness, tempo, drums, and stress. But today we are going to talk about only 4 representation of the suprasegmental structure. The first one is the internal structure of syllable. So the foot and the structure above the foot and of course intonation. Can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, thank you. So let's come to the first representation of the suprasegmental. So to better understand this, I will remind you about the definition of syllable. It's a unit which consists of a vowel as a central, or in other words, nucleus and other consonants before and after it, like R, no, it, or bit. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, so this is the most common representation of internal structure of the syllable. And the sigma here, which is the round one here, represent for the syllable, and it is divided into two things, onset and drums. And drums are also divided into 2 parts, nucleus and the coda. The nucleus is the core here. That means it must remain and it is obligatory, whilst the coda and the onset can be omitted. And also the coda can be a consonant or the consonant following the vowels. Now let's come to some rules of structural syllable. It can have the nucleus or the coda, and it can also the onset or the full structure of the syllable, or it can be existed or by just the nucleus alone. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, thank you. So as I said, the nucleus is the most important part of the syllable. It can be existed alone. And also about the onset and the coda, it can also be complex, which means it can contain more than 2 segments like sky, spray, or other examples. Can you move to the next one? And of course, it's interesting that some certain consonants, specifically sonorant consonants, or in Vietnamese we can understood as âm vang as syllable nucleus in unstressed syllables, and in the second syllable, such as words like fatten or bottle. And also there is also the noticeable here is the nucleus, typically a vowel, is the most prominent segment in the syllable in the sense that is the most sonorant. And of course, there are some restriction with the syllable. I think you are already familiar with this one, like there are no beginnings with more than 3 consonants, and no words end with more than 4 consonants, and no 1-syllable words end with a short vowel. Can you move to the next one, please? Okay, so there's some strength in this representation. First, explain the L velarization and the T glottalization when they are in the coda position. You can see the yellow highlight here. The T here, the T of the petrol is in the coda position, while the T in the patrol is in the
petrol.
Yeah, you can see the pronunciation is different. The T in the patrol is on the onset position. And also because of the stress placement, when it's patrol, the stress is the first syllable, while the patrol is the second syllable. So you can see here, the patrol and the patrol and the patrol, they're different. The T is glottalized in patrol, but the T here is not glottalized because it's the onset position. Can you move to the next one? And also the underlying segment can undergo a particular process, and it depending on where it is in the syllable. You can see a typical example here. And the second strength of this structure is it can give interesting insights into phonetics, which is the statement of permissible combination of segment in a particular language. Now let's come to the next one of the supra-segmental structure is the foot. I think this one can be simply understood as the association of one stressed syllable as focal with the other unstressed ones, and is commonly divided into four parts: a binary right-handed, binary left-handed, unbounded right-handed, and of course the degenerate. And you can see the bold sigma here is represent for the stressed syllable. Can you move to the next one? And some presentation here, you can see the inclination, incline, and both of the verb and the noun. And this one we can understand more about the stressed and the unstressed one. Like inclination, they are the end here is in the first, but the incline here they are in different foot. To be clearer, can you move to the next one? Here. We can see here the incline. The n here is remain as n. However, in the incline, the noun, the n is becoming because if we look only at the structure alone, we cannot conclude that they are different because they are in the same coda position. Here, the n here and the n here. But when we look at the foot, within the foot representation, we can get more insight into it because when the incline, the verb one, they are in different feet, and the incline, the noun, they are in the same feet. So the end here is is give the strength of the foot. Can you move to the next one, please? Yeah, it can perform metrical function, and it also refers to a domain of specific phonological rules by identifying feet. And of course, as I said, it captures the behavior of n velarization, like the incline and incline. If they are in the same foot, the n is velarized, but it is in different foot. The n here is remain at n. However, there's some weakness of this structure. It requires another structure to explain the occurrence of the n velarization in the phrase like green car. Green car is the stress here is the second one. So green car, the n here they are in difference. If the green along is pronounced n, but if in the same foot, the green here, the n here is velarized. Okay, that is for my part, and can come to the next one. Here is another member of our group will represent this one. Welcome.
Thank you, Ngọc Mai. Hello, everybody. My name is Yung, and I will continue our presentation with structure about the food and intonation. Okay, now let's get started with the structure about the food. As we can see that nuclei had syllables and the stressed syllable had feet. The feet may also be combined into larger constituents where one foot is more important than the others. Can you move on to the next slide? Yeah, we have in this figure, we have a construction consisting of 3 feet, and the last one is the most prominent, and we labeled G for a group. And the exact nature of structure about the level of the food is the matter of some controversy. And without going into the specific of these constituents, the phonologists have proposed a hierarchy of even larger constituents up to and including entire utterance. And for the present purpose, what's important is there's a general recognition for the need for structures about the food. And here are some strengths of the structure about the food. The first one is it illustrates and emphasizes where one food is more important than the others. And the second one, do you remember the example below that Ngọc might have just given about green and green car? So the structure about the food provides the explanation, clear explanation for the occurrence of velarization in the figure. And the last one, it formalizes the phonological structures from syllable, food, to the entire utterance. And now we move on to the next part, intonation. The intonation is one of the most crucial or important part in suprasegmental phonology. Then the intonation is the pitch variation over the whole sentence and a meaningful suprasegmental feature